Hey guys, hope you're having a great day today. My name is Steve. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel. Today I'm going to be reacting to Britain's controversial TV license. Now, I recently heard about the UK TV license and I don't really understand exactly what it is, but based on the little bit that I've seen and thumbnails and whatnot, it seems like people are actually getting fined for not paying some sort of license to watch TV in the UK. And it seems like people, like, I see thumbnails for certain videos and whatnot that have popped up in my feed, and it seems like people actually come to your house or something, or you get letters in the mail threatening you if you don't pay your TV license. Now, like I said, I don't know anything about this. I'm basing that little bit that I think I know about this on some thumbnails and just a little bit that I've seen in comments and whatnot. So I thought this would be really interesting to learn about because this seems to be kind of a big deal in the UK. I'm not really sure, but that's why we're going to check this out. But guys, I have no idea what to expect here. I don't really understand what a TV license is because we don't really have anything like this here in the US that I know of. I've never heard anything about a TV license, but so yeah, guys, let's go ahead and jump in and check out Britain's controversial TV license.
The TV license is sort of a running joke for Americans who engage in online argument with their cousins in the British Isles, and is often used as an example of the differences in social attitudes and personal freedoms between the two regions.
I've never even heard of this before. An American
citizen has the privilege, nay, the right to possess a firearm, but the British citizen needs a license to own a TV. The jokes write themselves, and the Americans laugh in semi-automatic gunfire. But all jokes aside, genuinely, why do British people need a license to own a TV?
Wait, what? Is that right? You need a license to own a TV? Surely that can't be accurate, man. There's got to be more to it than just you need a license to buy a TV. I mean, you can obviously have TVs in your house without needing a license. The question is, do you need a license to get some sort of TV programming, which is still interesting that I would have never thought that to be the case, but I'm guessing you can actually own a TV. You may just not be able to watch certain shows or something without a license. I don't know. Let's continue.
Can they get in trouble for owning a TV without a license? How does the government know if they do? Why do Brits tolerate any of this? These questions all have very interesting, and if you're American, hilarious answers. So let's dive in. Scottish inventor John Logie Baird is often credited with creating the world's first mechanical television. He demonstrated it to scientists of the Royal Institute in 1926, which is widely regarded as the world's first public television demonstration.
That would have been so cool to see.
It was a piece of shit. The electronic television was invented shortly after, but well, just look at it. It wasn't until after World War II that the technology became mainstream. This is why you may be surprised to hear that the idea of the TV license predates even Baird's primitive invention. The Wireless Telegraphy Act of 1904 regulated the transmission of messages using radio waves, which was instrumental in maritime communication and becoming increasingly important in military operations. At this time, the General Post Office was seen as the administrative and regulatory office for this stuff because, just like the post, it required delivery from a sender to a receiver. Under the Wireless Telegraphy Act, the General Post Office implemented a receiving license for radio transmissions. If you wanted to receive radio transmissions, you had to pay for an annual license. Seeing as this technology—
Wait, to the post office? Wow, to receive radio waves? Wow, I had no idea.
Was still somewhat experimental, it didn't see a lot of use by the public, and in 1906, 2 years after the license was introduced, only 68 receiving licenses were issued. By 1914, this had risen to several thousand. This was unfortunate for those people because that year the General Post Office announced the licenses were being suspended due to the First World War. The General Post Office informed the license holders that they were required to dismantle their receiving equipment.
Are you serious?
Radio technology was seeing rapid growth. This was the point where the General Post Office realized they probably weren't going to be the masters of long-range communication forever, and so they pushed for the establishment of the British Broadcasting Company in 1922.
What? The BBC has been around since 1922? Wow. So that has to be, the BBC literally has to be the oldest TV network in history. And obviously they started before TV. Wow, I had no idea.
Known as the British Broadcasting Corporation, or the BBC. Initially, the BBC consisted of radio manufacturers who would produce radio programs for users of their products, the broadcasts being funded by the sale of their radio receiving sets. However, in 1923, a license was reintroduced to fund the broadcasts.
Hold on, I want to see this. Wireless Telegraphy Act, 1904, license to establish a wireless receiving station. Wow. Maybe now I'm starting to wonder, because back then you needed a license just to have a wireless receiving station. It was a license for being able to own and operate the receiving station itself. So that maybe he was right at the beginning when he said that maybe you do have to actually have a license to actually own and operate a TV itself. I don't know for sure yet, but wow. Okay. That was dated, 1922.
Which cost 10 shillings a year. Thusly, the license had shifted from being a
10
regulatory
shillings a
measure
year.
to a vehicle for
How much would that be
funding.
today?
In 1927, the BBC went from a private company to a public service corporation, which it remains to this day. The government doesn't directly control it, but it is subject to government regulation as a public service. So, the BBC was creating broadcast programming for the general public, and the General Post Office was funding it with the license fees. When television started taking off, they did broadcasts on that too, starting in 1936. Although this was stopped during World War II to focus on radio. After World War II, TV saw huge growth worldwide, and even though the BBC...
Okay, that's earlier than I thought. I thought maybe, I don't know when I was thinking it was 1936. I just thought it would be I thought it would be sometime in the 40s, so not that much later, but for some reason the 30s just seems so early. Wow, okay.
Only had one black and white channel, they decided people should pay a license fee for that too. The first TV license was introduced in 1946 and cost £2 a year. Thankfully, this covered radio too, so you only had to pay the TV license to legally receive both. With this, the BBC was able to expand their programming. Eventually, colour TV came around, and in 1968, the colour TV license was introduced, meaning you
needed a license now for the color TV, not just the £2. Now you're paying £10. Now, what would that be? That was £10 a year back in 68, I believe. I mean, I don't know what that would be. What would that be in today's money? Like, I'm going to go out on a limb and say £40. I don't know. Okay, that's interesting. Those who receive BBC Two color programs are reminded that it is necessary to have a special color TV and sound license. Cost £10 per year. A rebate can be obtained on any existing uninspired $5 combined television and sound license. Combined color television and sound license are obtainable through all post offices. Wow.
had to pay more for the colours. Believe it or not, the license still works like this. You can get a monochrome TV license for about £50 and a colour one for about £150. Apparently, there are over 4,000 people in the UK still paying exclusively for the monochrome license.
Wow.
In 1971, radio was finally license-free, meaning only your TV required a license. In 1991, the responsibility of administering the TV license was passed from the General Post Office to the BBC. Okay,
so is that still accurate? He just said you pay, I think he said £150 a year for a TV license. Now, I'm curious, he may get into this, but I'm just these questions are popping in my head. Like, so that isn't like, I don't know, like your cost for cable, right? Like you're getting a bunch of cable TV stations, or like here in the US, we would pay for like satellite programming or cable programming, right? But just for over the air transmission, like with an antenna, you pick up free stations, right? We don't pay any license for that. Is that what this is? Are you paying a license to be able to receive the over the air transmission that you could technically pick up with an antenna? You know, that like that we call them rabbit ears that are on top of your TV set, or That's the old way they did it before, digital came along. But obviously, I know my grandparents at one point, they had a huge antenna like over their house before they had satellite and whatnot. So I'm curious about that, guys. Like, are you literally having to pay a license to just have access in general to TV at all, no matter, and then maybe you pay extra for certain stations and stuff like that, cable or satellite? I don't know. I don't know how that works. Let me know in the comments, guys.
Meaning the BBC is totally responsible for issuing licenses and enforcing license fee payment. And this is where we are
So it's
today.
not the post office.
Through the license fees and government funding, the BBC has expanded greatly with multiple radio stations and TV channels across the world.
Yeah, they are big.
If you're in the United Kingdom, these channels are free, but you have to pay for a TV license.
That answered my question. So yes, that's the same. Like, for example, I don't have an antenna. I pretty much get any kind of thing I watch over the internet, basically, right? Hulu and Netflix and, whatever. Also, when you have the internet, there's things like Pluto TV and stuff that are completely free. But like, if I put an antenna up, I get like some local channels. I get I get the public broadcasting station, which usually is channel 4, if I'm not mistaken, but PBS. So it's kind of the same thing as BBC in a way, except it's the U.S. version of that. It's kind of smaller. It's a lot of educational programs and things like that on that channel or on that public broadcasting station. I think it might be Public Broadcasting Network now, but also you'll get like CBS and ABC, maybe Fox, some stations like that just come in free, if you have an antenna. Or like I said, digitally, we can also watch certain things for free through Pluto TV and other free channels. But there is no license. And so now I'm seeing you guys, this has nothing to do with like the license is like you paying for cable or satellite. No, this is a license that you need, period. The end. To operate your TV set, you need a TV license, if I'm not mistaken. That's what it sounds like. If anybody wants to chime in the comments and explain this in a little more detail or tell me if that is accurate, please do so, because I think that's what I'm gathering here.
If you watch or record television transmissions at the same time they are being broadcast, even if you're not watching anything from the BBC, it's the law. Even if you don't have a TV and you watch via internet streaming, you need a TV license.
Are you serious?
So what if you don't have a TV license? Well, it's not required to buy a TV, so it's fairly easy to just break the law and watch without a license. But the BBC takes this fairly seriously. They have a database of every household in possession of a TV license.
How? Okay, that's creepy, man. That's creepy, big brotherish. Like the government literally knows I watch TV without a license. Are you serious? They're coming into your homes like that. That's wild. I'd never heard about this. This is crazy. I mean, like, if I was used to it, it's one thing, but it's like, that's amazing. I mean, like, how do they know that? How do they know if you're not paying for cable or anything and I could kind of see it if you're hooked to the internet, but how do they know that you're watching a television show on your TV and know you don't have a license? Wow, okay.
Meaning they know if you don't have one. If you're suspected of watching TV without a license, they may first initiate contact via unsolicited telephone calls or letters, which you have no means of opting out of since they are not considered advertising or marketing.
So you can't opt out of that. To the legal occupier, this is an official warning that we are carrying an investigation of your address. We've asked you to contact us several times, but you have not responded. There is still no record of a TV license at this property. The law. It is a criminal offense to watch or record TV programs on any channel or to download or watch BBC programs on iPlayer unless you have a TV license. It doesn't matter what equipment you use, whether a TV set, desktop computer. What? If we don't hear from you, our enforcement division will schedule a visit. Okay, this is kind of what I've seen in a little bit of the thumbnails, how people like come to your house or something. And I didn't think that could be actually the case. I thought there had to be something more to it or something. That's wild. The max, $1,000, £1,000 fine. and legal. Oh my goodness, dude. That's insane. They do take it seriously.
Material. A TV licensing agent, sometimes known as a TV license
Are you
inspector,
serious?
might make an unannounced visit to your house. This has happened
Excuse
to me
me?
because Ireland similarly requires a TV license to fund our public broadcaster, RTE.
Wow.
After a brief confrontation, he was forced to apologise because his system was out of date, and he went on his merry way to annoy someone else. A TV licensing agent may ask for permission to enter your home and inspect any TV receiving equipment. Although you are under no obligation to grant this permission, they may apply to a magistrate for a search warrant. They do try to avoid going down this route by making use of detection equipment. Yes, they do use devices to detect TVs. They even have TV detector vans that they drive around in, making note of households they detected a TV in.
That ain't Big Brother, man. Come on.
Their license database. These vans are shrouded in secrecy, as the BBC never revealed to the public how many of these vans they own or how they operate in an effort to prevent evasion. This has led to widespread speculation over if they even really exist, with some believing they're merely a myth or a hoax to scare people away from evading the license fee.
I would think so,
but while they are
but
real, their effectiveness is debated, and the BBC has probably exaggerated their capabilities.
Yes, there's a TV set on number 5. It's in the front room. And they're watching Columbo.
If you don't have a TV license, it won't take us long to find you.
TV license evasion is a prosecution.
what? Are you kidding me? That is wild. That is wild. Okay. What?
Offence with a maximum fine of £1,000. It's not technically punishable by imprisonment, but convicted offenders could be imprisoned on non-payment of the fine, although this is rare. So why do the Brits allow the existence of the TV licence? Well, a majority aren't actually happy with the system for numerous reasons.
I wouldn't think you would be happy with it, man. Especially if you're someone who's like, say, not even watching the BBC. You know, or like you're on your phone and you're just like watching some TV program. You've got to pay a license like that. That's crazy. That's crazy, man. I don't know how much it is now. I think he said 150 pounds a year. Okay.
BBC no longer gets all their funds from the public. They sell advertisements and license their content. So why are they still making the public pay for them? Well, in 2017, the BBC had a total income of just over £5 billion. 3.83 billion of this, or 75%, came from TV license fees, so they're not overly eager to get rid of it, considering it's their primary source of funding.
Wow.
People are also turned off by how Orwellian enforcement of the TV license fee seems.
That's me.
The TV license inspectors, the detector vans, the...
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's just like over the top, man. You got people going to come to my house to see if, like, dude, like, nah, no way, man. I just wouldn't even deal with it. Like, technically, I don't even watch TV really anyway, so this wouldn't be something that would affect me, I guess, because, I mean, tell me you can watch Hulu and stuff online without having to pay a TV license, because that's basically all I do. I watch Hulu and Peacock. And I don't have Netflix now, but I had Netflix from time to time. Sling TV. Oh, well, Sling TV, if that was something like that in the UK, I'm guessing you guys would probably, because that is regular live TV, so you'd probably have to pay a license for that. Yeah.
Adverts. Yes, the BBC produces adverts designed to scare you into paying your license fee. The production of these adverts obviously being funded by the license fees. The tone of these ads often leaves a bad taste in people's mouths.
Your town, your street, your home. It's all in our database. New technology means it's easy to pay your TV license and impossible to hide if you don't. It's all in the database.
Another bone of contention.
Orwellian much? Okay. I mean, this is a TV network. Well, technically, it's a public TV network, but like, it's still a TV network. Wow. Why don't they? Whatever.
Or rather, the many bones, the entire skeleton of contention, one might say, is the many scandals the BBC has been involved in. The biggest example probably being the Jimmy Savile controversy. After his death, hundreds of allegations came to light, leading many to seriously distrust the BBC and wonder who their license fees were going to. There are many other countries that issue TV licenses.
Really?
But there are even more that previously issued them and have since abolished the practice. Will the UK ever join this list? This is an ongoing debate. Many of its citizens would hope so, but there are still many who view the BBC as an overall positive force and don't mind paying the license fee to ensure it can continue to produce programming at the scale and quality the broadcaster is renowned for, while remaining independent from commercial pressures. And that's all the time I'm willing to dedicate to talking about TV licensing.
All right, guys, this was a really well put together video that explained everything I needed to know about the TV license. Because I've been curious about that for the last couple weeks since it popped up somewhere just randomly, and then I started noticing it a little bit here and there. But this is not what I would have expected it to be. Like, I thought there had to be more to it for people to come to, like enforcers to come to your house to basically threaten you. It's what it sounds like, letters to threaten you. And I guess I can see this both ways. Not knowing, I don't watch BBC because I'm in the US, so I don't really, I have seen the BBC, some BBC content from time to time, especially since I've been on this journey, clips here or there, whatever. It does seem like the programming that I've seen seems to be pretty well put together. And I guess I can see how some people might be okay with the license because of the fact it's, they like the TV programming itself. And so they're like, you know what? They're not as beholden to commercial interest. Personally, I wouldn't be a fan of this. I think it's a little Orwellian, them saying they know if you're watching their TV or not. And it's like, even if I'm not watching the BBC, that's where I don't like it. It's like, if I'm going to watch the BBC, they want to charge me a license fee. Okay, whatever. But if I'm not even watching the BBC, I'm like just watching something completely different that had nothing to do with the BBC. I still have to pay the BBC. Like, I mean, I understand that it's public too, right? So I don't know. That's interesting, though, guys. This is something I've never heard of. Ireland has it for their public broadcasting network as well, although I'm not sure. That's what he said. I'm not sure if it's as strict about across the board as it is in the UK. Let me know in the comments if it's pretty similar. And he also brought up the fact that other countries do have this. I've never heard of it at all. So I guess, I don't know if Canada has it. Maybe Canada's one of the countries that had it at one point now doesn't. I don't know if the US ever had it. Maybe they did at some point, but as long as I've just never heard of it before. But this is wild. I would like to look into this a little bit more, guys. I'd kind of like to look into the enforcement of this. I'd be very interested to see what happens in that process, because I think I've ran across some thumbnails that were about people enforcing this, right? So if anybody wants to share something in the comments, like a clip or some videos about the enforcement of this, or anything else that has to do with this, or even anything else that's completely different than this, but it's kind of similar to this type of topic. I really enjoy learning about this type of thing. Please feel free to leave that type of stuff in the comments or your recommendations. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for stopping by. Please click that like button. Feel free to drop your comments or suggestions about this video or others. And don't forget to subscribe to continue to follow me on my journey to discover my British and Irish ancestry. Till next time, guys. Peace.